As I live and breathe. I forgot what episode it
A
is.
wooden boy. This is episode 49.
Of the Elbow Nudge podcast.
And today we're talking about
Pinocchio!
Pinocchio!
You did Stromboli, I did Geppetto. Pinocchio!
You
When he's
mix
looking for him and he's lost.
Pinocchio!
Pinocchio!
Mix it all together and you know that it's the best of both worlds.
Caroline, I'm going to trust but verify. I completely trust you that you know the episode. Wait, what episode did you say it was?
49?
It's 48.
48.
This is episode 48 of the Elbow Nudge podcast.
And today we're talking about
Pinocchio!
Pinocchio!
Now, quick fun fact, Caroline. Did you know Pinocchio was actually named Pinocchio because he was made out of pine?
What? No way. I never knew I needed this information.
Yeah.
By the way, everybody, I'm Caroline. This is Tony. This is the Elbow Nudge podcast.
Oh, all right. We're going to do that?
We'll start it now.
We'll start it now.
Yeah. So, Pinocchio.
Like a new habit?
Yes. We'll start it
All right.
now.
All right. What else do we have to do?
It's
And
good to
today we'll
start.
be discussing Pinocchio, the newly released 2022 remake of Pinocchio from
50. Wait, it can't be the 50s, right? Or can it?
I don't know.
1940 film Pinocchio.
Exactly on 1940?
Yeah.
Dang, that's old.
It's old.
We did watch both, and we will be talking about both.
Yes. This is going to be a pseudo comparison contrast, but it's not going to be all about that.
This is going to be a full-on comparison. I took extensive notes.
Starlight, star bright.
Star bright.
First star I see tonight. I wish I may. I wish I might. Grant the wish I make tonight. Please, please, please help Tony stop contradicting me in every episode of the podcast. Blue Fairy. I almost
Wait,
said
something's coming through my window right now.
I almost said amen.
Do not pray to a blue fairy.
I'm not praying, I'm wishing. Because
and then say amen afterwards.
That's
not a wish.
A star, makes no difference who you are. Everything your heart desires.
All right, have we begun?
Oh, we've begun. This is a very chaotic intro to the episode.
All right. No, I think we'll make a lot of comparisons, but yeah, not full deep dive like video essay style. We never do that here.
Yeah, easy, breezy, beautiful Pinocchio.
Cover girl.
I see my wish is not coming true.
So let's begin. Oh yeah, I shut my window. That blue fairy's locked outside.
She's knocking on your door, on your window.
No.
Let me in.
I shut it. So, very simple question at the front. What did you think of the live action Pinocchio? Robert Zemeckis.
Yeah, it's directed by Robert Zemeckis with composed by Alan Silvestri. It didn't feel like it.
From either party?
Yeah. I feel like they could have placeholdered anybody in there and I would have believed it.
They could have got John Watts. That would have made sense.
They could have
This is a John Watts movie.
You know, now that you mention it, it does feel John Watts-y, doesn't it?
Well, so did you not like the movie or what?
You know, I don't dislike it. I don't think that it was bad. I just have mixed feelings about it because, and this also can kind of be a reflection of how I feel about all of these live action remakes, but it just doesn't embody the same emotion as the animated one did. And I think also I might have overhyped it in my mind because Robert Zemeckis, he's such an amazing director. His stories, his movies are impeccable. He really just brings life and adventure and fun to a lot of the things that he touches. And I was wanting that out of Pinocchio. I wanted Zemeckis, and I felt like I didn't get Zemeckis. Like what you said about Romancing the Stone, this is how I feel towards Pinocchio.
So I had a little bit of time to think about this.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly one day.
24 hours.
I slept on it.
Let me sleep
And I think
on.
this was a pretty faithful adaptation. I don't know what they did wrong exactly.
Except the ending.
Except the ending, yeah. It was pretty lame, but I don't think it was bad enough to ruin the whole movie. But having watched the original animated and then the live action, I think it was probably as good as you can get it. And I didn't look up what the remember I told you I'm seeing like all these thumbnails like uh-oh, Pinocchio sucks. Why does it suck? I didn't look into it. I still wanted to keep my opinion fresh. I don't know why there's any hate on it, but I think what else could they have done really? Except like a few minor improvements, but nothing. I don't know. I think it was all right, just like the original. It was all right.
Which do you have an opinion on which you like better?
Um. Well, before that, I wanted to ask you because I think I see them about the same. I
Oh
guess I'll
wow.
give the credit to the animated because it came first. It was the original idea, so it gets the one up for that. But I don't. When I saw the animated one again as an adult, I didn't see it as like a beloved classic. I thought it was a very nice story, and that's it. But I didn't see it as like a whoa, holy grail Disney original movie. I thought it was good, and then I thought this movie was able to keep that up.
Okay. Okay. I
Am
have
I?
a
Is my opinion wrong about that?
no, no, I'm not gonna tell
Is
you
the
you're
original like an
wrong.
amazing classic?
Well, I mean, I think it's just a classic from the technology and how old it is, and of course, it's Disney. You know, these are the labels that make it a classic. But you're right in that it's not. I think it's not a holy grail classic film. I think those kind of belong to the Cinderella. You know, I feel like Cinderella is a holy grail classic film. You know,
Yeah,
but
all the princess movies.
maybe not. Maybe not Sleeping Beauty. That might be a hot take. I won't say that, but
Why is boring?
no. Well, yeah, but it's
I haven't
got
seen it as an adult, so I
it's
don't know.
got good stuff in it. I like Sleeping Beauty. I'm not gonna bash on Sleeping Beauty, but I think like the Holy Grail film because that's even like the Walt Disney World Castle. Although to be fair, Disneyland is Sleeping Beauty's anyway. I'm getting off topic, but yeah, Pinocchio is a classic, but it's a classic because a lot of the it's the brand and also the When You Wish Upon a Star song. That's Disney's theme
Main
song.
theme.
They play that before every movie. Think about that. And I feel like the animated one also. I think it scores points for originality. It's scores points for the voice acting, the animation, all hand drawn. These are things that I think obviously we're not gonna in my opinion at least, the animated ones from these live action remakes are obviously better because they're the original. And this is the live action for me just feels like a way to introduce these movies back to the public to ride on that nostalgia, but to also get kids today to watch these movies again in a new light. You know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely that. Got to get the new kids on this.
I just think you know what? I'll start with the good thing. I don't want to immediately jump into like criticizing this film because, like I said, I didn't dislike it. I thought it was entertaining. I had a good time watching it with my family. They laughed, they cried, like they were invested. And so I take that into consideration where it's
Which
like
were the crying parts?
when Geppetto is telling him, you know, you will always be my real boy. It's like, ah,
All right. Was that at the end?
yes.
Okay. Yeah, the end was pretty good for that.
The end was good until they walked away and then a movie ended there. And it's like, no.
Yeah.
But we'll get to that later. We'll get to
Okay.
that later. What I did like, there were some things that I liked about it, which were, and this one might be a nitpick, but whatever. Um, it shows Pinocchio and Geppetto spend time together, that they grew to love each other when Pinocchio first became alive. And in the animated movie, he comes alive at night, and in the morning, Geppetto's like, "Go to school. Like, I want you out of here already. I'm gonna send you off to school right now."
I
Whereas
thought that
in
was very bizarre in both movies.
in this movie, at least, it's like. I think in the live action they did it kind of smart if you think about it, because they spend time together, they're dancing, they're having fun, and then Pinocchio touches fire and he starts burning, and Geppetto's like, ah, and I think it's because Geppetto's realizing he's not teaching him, he's not a teacher, he's not teaching him all these things that he should be, but he could learn from a teacher if he goes to school. So that's where he's like, Pinocchio, I think it's time you go to school. And so
Well, they
it
had the dancing scene in the original, and they had the fire burning scene in the original too.
yeah, they just didn't, I feel like they didn't put it,
They didn't kick a ball in the original.
and we didn't get Pinocchio, Pinocchio, holy smokio.
Pinocchio. I thought this was the opportunity for them to show Geppetto and Pinocchio spending more time together, but instead it was a quick montage, and by quick is like it shouldn't even be called a montage. It was just three scenes that were each like 5 seconds each.
Of them doing stuff together.
Yeah, then the next day I was like, all right, it felt like the same amount of time to me. It's like, okay, you got to go to school now. Next day you got to go to school. But I guess it was supposed to be longer.
I from what I understood from the movie, they were trying to make the passage of time longer in the live action. But you're right, it is pretty short. I think it's also because so much happens. Because it feels like the live action was trying to give them more time, at least in my opinion. And they knew like, oh, we still have to do all of these things in this movie. We can't like put too much time on Pinocchio and Geppetto, even though they're the main characters.
I'll say my first idea. I think they should have completely cut out the Fabiana and Sabina
Yeah.
story.
Yes. I
And
mean,
all of that time should have just been with Geppetto and Pinocchio at home.
I
They could have been
agree.
sharing a dinner together. He probably could have showed him how to carve a cuckoo clock.
Yeah, show
Probably just hang out in front of
some
the house.
some father son bonding time.
Yeah. Even more time with Jiminy, like just Jiminy and Pinocchio.
Pinocchio.
Pinocchio. But yeah, I think Jiminy, another thing,
Holy
I think
smoke,
Jiminy
Pinocchio.
was even more useless in the live
Can't
action.
I now listen, I love Jiminy Cricket. Just I want to placate that statement. But this movie, both of them could end a lot sooner if Jiminy Cricket just did his job. If he just stayed with Pinocchio and actually gave him advice and didn't abandon him and things like that.
Yeah.
It's like
But
Jiminy.
they took away a
Jiminy.
lot from Jiminy because I think the original, he was always trying to catch up to Pinocchio. He wasn't with him the whole time. And that was true for this movie. But they took away like his moments with Pinocchio. Like before the blue fairy shows up, and well, yeah, he becomes a real live puppet, and then the blue fairy shows up, right, in the original.
Mhm.
And they have a moment of like a good conversation, and I really liked it when Jiminy, he's saying, they're having the conscious conversation, and he's like, oh, well, what's that? And then Jiminy says like, well, sometimes something seems like the right thing to do, but it's really the wrong thing
Oh,
at
that's right.
the
The
wrong time.
and
And
they sing the song.
yeah, they spend a lot of time together, I think. And Jiminy seems like a very capable, responsible little cricket to take on the responsibility of being Pinocchio's conscious. But here, it just seemed like he was thrown in. Like the blue fairy was like, all right, this is your job now. He's like, okay, I guess I'll do it. And yeah, he just became like more useless. That's the best way I could put it. More useless in this movie. He has more catching up to do with Pinocchio.
Also, in the live act, in the animated, he does actively give Pinocchio advice and tell him, "Don't do that. Go to school. Don't do that. Listen to your dad. Don't do that. Let's leave." And Pinocchio disobeys him, and that's how he gets into trouble. And that's a I like that kind of cause and effect. It's like you didn't listen to your conscience. Now look where you're at. And in this movie, I don't really see him giving Pinocchio advice. It's just like, "Oh,
It's
okay.
very little.
He wants to be an actor and I guess he's making money. He don't need me anymore. Goodbye."
He
And
gave up really easily.
he gave up really
He
easily.
had the advice with, like no one who calls himself honest is actually honest. You know,
Yeah,
that kind of thing.
I think that's one. Try to name another.
That's it.
Uh, whereas, old Jiminy Cricket was a well of knowledge. I do like the whistle. Give a little whistle.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that was good. That wasn't in this movie.
That was not in this
Wow.
movie.
Man, that
I
was a good song.
I
That's the one I
liked
was
it.
telling you. I'm like, are we gonna have a cuckoo clock song? That was the one I was thinking about.
Oh,
Yeah, we did not get that.
I liked it. I liked the whistle. And then Pinocchio throughout the movie is like, Jiminy, Jiminy, where are you? And he's whistling.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm like, oh, Jiminy, where are you? To kind of shift, I don't like how good of a kid they made Pinocchio in the live action. And I this is the thing. I like Pinocchio kind of being bad in the animated. I think it's obviously because this is new. They're like, oh, we can't show kids a bad role model. We have to give them a good role model. But that's the point of Pinocchio is that he's a child and he's gonna make mistakes, but you learn from it. That's the whole point is that he's not perfect. He's learning how to be good. And he repeatedly, blows off Jiminy Cricket and he's like, I'm not doing that. I'm going to go with Honest John and I'm not doing that. I'm going to go to Pleasure Island. And he's like smoking cigars and drinking beer and
Amen.
all, all right. And all these things. But in this movie, and he doesn't even like he straight up lies to Jiminy in the animated version. He like when he's like Pinocchio, what happened? And he goes, "Oh, I was thrown into a like what I was caught by a monster and they threw me in this cage and the nose grows." And then in the animated version, he's purposefully lying to get Jiminy to get the keys. When it's like Pinocchio, how did you know your nose was going to grow long? Like what are you doing?
Yeah, I wanted to make a quick comment on that.
Uh huh.
Before watching these movies again as a kid, I always thought the nose growing was a much bigger part of the story. When I remember Pinocchio, I always remember him as
The nose
the
growing.
yeah, the lying thing. Like if you lie, your nose will grow. I thought that was a big part of the story. No, it's just that one scene. It's so weird to think about it like that. Like I would think of that, the lying being the main theme before even him wanting to be a real boy, but I was completely wrong.
For me, it was the donkeys. I thought the donkey scene was a lot longer.
Oh, it just it lived in your head a lot longer.
Totally. I mean, we can get into it now, but that scene, even watching it as an adult, I was clutching my blanket. I was still traumatized by the scene of Lampwick turning into a donkey.
The
The
animated one was a
the
little
the animated one is so unnerving because the scene that gets me scared every time is when his hands grab Pinocchio's overalls and then they turn into hooves and it's
yeah, that was
just
cool.
that's so scary to me. And then he's over here eyeing and then going mama, like, oh, that hurts me so much to see a child crying for their mom.
Yeah, that's the part where it's like, oh man, I feel bad.
I felt
And I don't even like Lampwick. And I started to feel bad a little bit. I still want him to turn into a donkey though, overall.
what, I don't want any of them to turn into donkeys.
Some of them should be donkeys.
No. They
Caroline,
I one
they
of
got to
the
learn.
for
They
both
got to be scared
movies
straight.
for me. I see. I see. For both movies, for me, I'm always unnerved that the donkeys are never rescued. It's like so I feel like it's so cautionary tale esque, like, oh, if you play all day and don't do anything, you're gonna turn it and that's where it comes from in the book Pinocchio, The Adventures of Pinocchio or whatever, that these movies are based on. The story is very different from both movies. Disney did its Disney thing and we're like, yeah, we're gonna make it our own, but we'll pay some homage to the original. In the book, the donkey thing is meant to be like it's some line in Italian, but I think it just translates to like boys who don't work and play all day become donkeys. And that's where we get that's where Pinocchio gets it. But in the book, you turn back into a real boy when you do something good. So I just figured, like, does that mean there's a way to save those donkeys? And we
Yeah,
never.
they just haven't done anything good.
Oh, I feel so bad for those donkeys.
Yeah, for some of them, I feel bad. I agree.
That Alexander in the animated one, he's like, you could still talk, and he throws him into the pit, and they're all crying.
Yeah, yeah.
That's so sad. Oh my gosh.
There's some dark moments.
Very. When that coachman turns into like a little devil, he's got that red face,
Yeah, that's true.
and Honest John starts like sweating, like, you know something's up when Honest John is
Well,
scared.
yeah, if he's worried, the schemer. But I wanted to say, I know we've moved on from it, but I have to bring it up because we spoke about this during the movie,
Hmm.
and I have a different view on Pinocchio and him
Okay.
being like a bad child or whatever. In the animated one, I don't think he was. Well, this is how I felt. I don't stand strongly behind this, but I was viewing it as him being so innocent and so gullible that I don't feel like he was making bad decisions. I think he was just so easily swept away by anyone that would tell him anything. So when he ran into Honest John, he's like, "Oh yeah, you could be famous. You can join, the this greatest show with Stromboli." He's like, "Okay, yeah, that's what I
Greatest
want."
show.
And then I think he was just so easily moved in any direction that anyone would tell him. I just got the sense that he was so gullible. And yeah, like I think when he was sent to school, he wanted to go to school. When Honest John stopped him, he's like, "Okay, I'll join the show then." And then when Jiminy tells him like, "Oh no, he's not a good person," like, okay, so he's not good. And then in the original, in the animated one, he, we see Honest John again, and he sets him up to go to Pleasure Island, and he's like, "Okay, yeah, I'll go. That sounds all right." Like he didn't need very much convincing. Like he stopped only for a little bit. He would say like, "Oh no, I'm going with Jiminy. I'm going back to my dad." He's like, "No, no, no. You gotta go to Pleasure Island." He's like, "All right." He's just so easily swayed, and I never saw it as him making the bad decision or anything. I felt like he had no, like what they were saying, he has no sense of right or wrong. He's just listening to anyone. And in the live action movie, I feel like they changed that. And the scene that I was like so shocked about was when he was thrown in the bird cage by Stromboli, and then what's her name, Fabiana, she comes from the top, and she's like, "Hey, I'm gonna help you." And he's like, "Leave me alone." I'm like, what? Pinocchio would never say that. To me, I feel like he would never say that ever,
No,
and
yeah, you're
he
right.
hasn't ever said that in the original.
Hmm.
And then, but I get where they were going with this. They were taking a new angle because then he says, "You're a real person, and the only real person I could trust is my dad." And it's like, all right, I get that. And then they were trying to build up his relationship with the other puppet girl, Sabina. And I'm like, okay, I get that angle, and I'm not upset about it. But it is a different Pinocchio in my eyes. Like, I don't think in the original, if there was a Fabiana, he would have been like, "Oh, great, you're gonna get me out of here, awesome," or he'll just be like, "Yeah, thank you." And then I think she would have actually been able to help him drop down, grab the key, get him out. You don't need Jiminy; he barely does anything. And then they would have been out of there.
Isn't it interesting that they kind of removed the blue fairy from that equation?
I wonder why. I feel like the blue fairy helped in that scene in the original because
Hmm.
the nose thing made sense because he was lying in her presence, and I feel like that's what kind of did it. But in this movie, Jiminy says, "Oh, it must be the fairy magic." A bit on the nose, but I don't know. What do you think about that? Am I off the mark or what?
You know what? I think you've enlightened me. I think you're very correct. I didn't even think about it like that. I didn't even think about it like that, but as you were saying it, it made a lot of sense.
That's the impression I got. That's why I feel like he was smoking cigars. Because Lampwick could tell him anything. Like, here, boy smoke cigars. You're like, okay. Like,
Yeah, yeah.
I don't think he was,
intentionally being like, I'm gonna pick bad things. He's
Yeah,
just going along with what people were telling him.
yeah. People could tell him anything, and he'll just go with it.
Yeah, you're so right. I didn't even think about it like that.
But then he does start. I forgot the lies in the original now because the newer one is fresher in my mind. But I don't think that was a lie when he said a monster threw me in here because I thought he was calling Stromboli a monster.
No, that's where I think my perception might have come from that scene is I think he because the blue fairy comes in like, Pinocchio, what have you done? Like almost like coming across that she might get mad at him or he's done something wrong, and so he's trying to cover it up a bit because I think he because Stromboli is not a monster, Stromboli is a person. And then he
Yeah,
starts
so
saying
you don't
like,
think Pinocchio would talk like that, like call him a monster,
no,
right?
I don't think so. And then he starts adding in that he put me in a bag and he put Jiminy in a little bag.
Yeah, that's when he was straight up lying.
Yeah, that's where it starts piling on.
And this in the live action, I thought, and I told you when we were watching, I'm like, I don't think the first two statements he said was a lie. I don't remember them exactly, but he basically said like, but I really did want to go to school, and then his nose grows, and then he's like, but I didn't want to be famous or whatever, and then his nose grows again. I'm like, I think those are. I think he's telling the truth for that. Like he really did want to go to school until
Some
he
true
was
lies.
deterred. Yeah, and then I think he really didn't want to be famous, but he was just like convinced to do so. And then after that, he started lying. Well, in
Mhm.
my opinion, I think they were lies. Like he's like, "Oh yeah, I didn't like when they were clapping for me, and I got all the attention." Okay, sure, but
Yeah, okay,
I'm the
sure.
judge here. I know
You
what a lie
liar.
is when I hear
Are you perjuring yourself in my court, son?
it. Overruled.
No, I think the lying was handled really weird in the live action because these are stuff that it's like Pinocchio. You at least if you follow the movie, you did want to go to school. He was very much like, my father wants me to go to school. Like so, he's like, I'm gonna go to school. He's very happy, very excited to go. So there's no reason for him to be like, I didn't want like I wanted to go to school, but
But it,
but it's the sound in Shrek 2 that Pinocchio's nose makes.
yeah, I personally make a sound.
I also really like the blue because like the blue fairy is the one that gives him the lesson in the movie with if you keep telling lies, they're gonna grow and grow until it's as plain as the nose on your face. I like that scene. I like the lesson behind the nose
Yeah,
growing. And that's also the last time he lies. He doesn't do it again. He's just like, okay, I'll never do it again. And he doesn't.
yeah, I like that too. I feel like that was his moment of like, okay, I don't want that to happen again.
Yeah, he's learning. And I don't know why the live action I feel like, it wasn't handled badly, but it was just handled kind of messily, where it's like, what are you doing? And then he says something true and then it goes back, and that's not the way it happened.
Yeah, that's what made it weird. Is like, all right, so he can
You
fix
can
himself at any time, and
yeah.
he could lie whenever he wants, and then just say the truth whenever he wants, and it'll just go back.
There's like a paradoxical statement of Pinocchio. I remember somebody asked me a question. I'm not gonna look it up because we'll be here all day contemplating it.
My nose will grow, something like that.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Is he telling a lie or is he telling the truth?
this statement is a lie, something weird like that. I bet.
Something
Right?
weird like that will cause people to be like, wait, but is it? Wait, but it isn't. So
Yeah,
there
or
is
just be
that.
stuck going like in and out.
And in the animated one, they never say that telling the truth will put it back to normal. The blue fairy has to come in and be like, here you go.
The blue fairy felt cooler in the original because
She was around
she
and
just felt more like
she had a
ethereal, like
yeah,
whoa, mystical.
she had a really good conversation with both of them at the beginning.
Yeah,
And she's the one that tells him it's one of my favorite lines in the movie where it's like, a boy who won't be good may as well be made of wood. I like that.
that's yeah, that's the whole thing. I thought you were gonna say donkey, but yeah, yeah, that's the whole thing.
But I like it. I like her. I like her repeated appearances in the movie. And the actress that they got to play the Blue Fairy in this movie, I think she's beautiful. She's got a wonderful voice, and she only shows up once.
She could do a very high note.
Yeah,
Very high note.
that
Yeah.
tree.
I think they kind of did her dirty though, because when she was leaving the window, she looked like it looked really bad the way she was like shrinking and
It
like
looked like
singing.
that scene from Thor: Love and Thunder where the floating head. Have you seen it? That
No.
oh well, be prepared.
All right. It wasn't a good look. It looked really silly. I wanted to laugh, but I kept myself composed.
Everybody's making fun of the CGI in Thor: Love and Thunder, as you know. So these are screenshots of this floating head that's communicating with Thor in the movie, and
She looked just like that.
everybody's making fun of how bad it looked. And yeah, that is how she looked.
Yeah, because she was shrinking. She was flying backwards out the window, and then she's getting smaller and smaller. And then the bad timing of her hitting her high note at the same time that she's getting smaller. I don't know. It wasn't a good look.
It was not a good look.
No.
They did do her dirty, and I think even her lines were a little bit awkward. Where he was like, "Am I real? Like, am I really real?" And she's like, "No, you're not really real." And then she's like, "You're," and then later on in the conversation, she's like, "You're real now, aren't you?" And it's like, "Is he or isn't he, Blue Fairy?" You're
Yeah,
confusing
yeah.
me. And the Blue Fairy in the original, she had all the answers. And she was very kind. I like the way that she was written, her lines. And she even made what's the word? She explained why Geppetto's wish was being granted too. And her first line after he makes that wish is like, "Dear Geppetto, you've brought so much joy to so many people. I think it's time for your wish to be granted." And that's something really nice that we
Yeah.
didn't get in this movie.
So let's talk about his dead son.
That only appears in the live action.
Yeah. What do you think of that decision?
I'm okay with that. I think it kind of, well, to a degree, I like that we know he has a dead son, but he doesn't really like bring it up. Like he doesn't call Pinocchio by the name of his dead son, Like we can see that Pinocchio is not like just a replacement. He actually is like a second chance at having another son.
I think it just makes you, well, me, ask too many questions about it.
You start going like,
Because now I'm like, well, where's his wife? Or where's his mom? And then what happened to the son? How did he die so young?
the plague.
And I didn't like how the spell bounced off the picture. I think that was
I think that was kind of corny.
unnecessary. We could have gotten the idea, if she just showed up.
Like the way the animated movie did it.
Yeah, yeah.
She just showed up and then did a little fling.
I mean, it's an interesting idea.
Also, Jiminy didn't get his badge in this movie.
Oh, I
His
forgot
18
about
karat gold
that.
badge.
I think it was 14 carats.
Was it 14? A teen carat gold badge.
Yeah, he did not get a gold badge.
He didn't get his
Well, he didn't
badge.
deserve it.
That's why they didn't give it him. They were aware.
He got Chewbacca.
Oh.
Sorry. He barely got it in the original, and he could not get a passing grade in the live action.
Poor JGL Lemony.
No, he did good. His voice was very good.
You think so?
Yeah.
The more I think about it, the more I find fault with it. So I
Oh,
don't
come
think
on.
about it too much. Come on,
Come on. Pinocchio.
He sounds too much like Southern Mickey. Now that you pointed it out, I can't unhear it.
Listen to how he speaks in real life and see how much he has to manipulate his
Well,
voice to sound like
obviously,
Jiminy.
obviously,
I'm
yes.
just
He's
saying that's a
usually,
pretty good
but he doesn't
transformation.
have to. He doesn't have to transform it that much. Jiminy Cricket's original voice was kind of normal. It wasn't too deep, or although he does sing "When You Wish Upon a Star," and that is a deep voice.
It's a pretty unique voice.
I
that
wonder
I
if
think is pretty
JG
hard to get.
I wonder if JGL can sing "When You Wish Upon a Star." I kinda wanted Jiminy to sing it, but I did
He
like
sang it a bit in the intro,
a little bit, but
a little
not
bit.
really.
I think that's his extent of his
Come on,
skills.
JGL, push it to the limit, limit.
We're gonna have to wait for the bonus content,
The
Blu-ray
extra.
release or whatever. Yeah. No, I think he did good. I liked all the voices.
I liked
Even
the voice.
Pinocchio sounded like Pinocchio.
Pinocchio's was perfect. I don't know how they found a kid who sounded just like the original Pinocchio. Hiya, pops.
Too bad they couldn't use that kid.
Uh, are we gonna get into that? Are we gonna get into the ending?
Yeah, we jump around here on Elbow Nudge. We
I
don't go
jump
in order
around.
here.
I jump around like Jiminy Cricket. I jump around.
Yeah, we don't go in order here.
Why didn't they give us the ending? I think that is another component as to why I'm not like outwardly so positive about the animated film, the live action film, is because we didn't get that happy ending that I think everybody looks forward to. That's the one that makes you feel those warm feelings of joy, is that huge that I'm a real boy that happens in the animated one. It's so touching and
Well, this is
heartwarming.
supposed to be happy. He
It's
becomes a
not.
real boy.
Yeah, does he? Or
He
is just
does.
is he a real boy, Tony, or is he a CGI boy
He's a
standing next
CGI real boy.
to standing next to Tom
He's
Hanks?
as real as CGI can get.
He's as real as Rocket Raccoon standing on the ship.
And that's real.
I mean, to be fair, Rocket looks great.
Rocket looks really good.
Boy Pinocchio
Especially when they're hyperspace jumping.
with Boy Pinocchio with the space jumping yonder.
His face just came into your mind,
Yeah,
huh?
big ol' eyeballs. Like, I don't know. And then the way that they did it, the way they were shifting it in the CGI of it all, and his legs are so thin, they look like they could snap. It's like, what?
Those are some strong legs, Carolyn.
And the boy that plays him, the boy that voices him, looks like Pinocchio.
He's a little boy.
He's a little boy.
He's a real boy they could have used.
He's there. He's there with them. They casted him. Why didn't they get him?
I really don't know. We need to ask Robert Zemeckis on Twitter.
Robert Zemeckis. Why?
There was so many ways they could have done it, even if they didn't want to show the full transformation.
Look at
Like right
him.
now, I'm thinking,
Look at this little boy. He looks like Pinocchio.
yeah, put a little hat on him, a feather,
And a little lederhosen.
stick a feather in his
You're
cap.
good. Call it macaroni.
That's Pinocchio.
That's Pinocchio.
But if they wanted the walkaway scene, it could have just been, them hand in hand walking away, and then cut away just for a second, show, I don't know, Jiminy or something, and then cut to them again, and then he's holding a real boy's hand. There's a real boy dressed up like Pinocchio, but it's still from the back shot. That's it.
Something. Or I just wanted that scene of Geppetto and him being like, Pinocchio, you're real. Like, you're a real boy.
Yeah, he never said, I'm a real boy.
He never did.
And that's his line.
That's his thing. That whole ending, that celebration that goes on, if you're going to and this movie was I feel like it was pretty faithful for the scenes and everything that went on until the end. And it's just, I wonder why they chose to be like, oh yeah, we're going to do all these things, but we're not going to do the ending.
I couldn't tell you. It seems so obvious.
It seems so obvious. It's just, that's the point of the film. That's what we've been working up towards.
Yeah.
And it leaves you kind of like high and dry. You're just like, what? It's over?
I think I made a joke about there being a CGI boy, and
I was like, oh, Tony.
yeah, and you said,
Oh,
yeah, I think that's all you said, and I should have took your warning. I'm like, they would
yeah.
never do that. That's literally the dumbest thing they could do.
Cut to me like,
But again, I feel like that was a mistake, but it's not enough to ruin the whole movie.
Yeah, you're right, but it still disappoints me because that's the ending. That's the final note that you leave with the audience, and that's a really sour note to end on.
I mean, sometimes that's how you got to end it.
I guess so. I guess so.
Yeah, like besides things like that, I feel like it was a pretty capable adaptation because Pinocchio looked good.
Mhm.
All the sets looked good, or whatever CGI, whatever you want to say. There's some things that I liked better in this movie than the original.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, Pleasure Island was way better
Yeah, that's true. I did like Pleasure Island in this movie.
because it actually seemed like a place kids would want to go to, and like in the original, it seemed like some sort of shady bar or whatever. Smoke cigars and
Absolutely.
stuff. Here, it was
Mhm.
like, yeah, we get to destroy clocks.
You
Awesome.
can say what you want, do what you want, destroy things, eat all the food you want.
Yeah, get on Ferris wheels, get on boats. Like it's awesome.
It definitely looked like a kid's dream. Obviously, like with a hidden agenda. I like that there was like some scary things right in your face, but it's the other things that distract you. I remember looking at that Ferris wheel and be like, "Oh, that looks fun," and then you see the clown face, and you're like, "Oh, yeah, never mind."
Yeah,
I kind of like that there were these mixed messages in there.
the signs were there, but the kids wouldn't notice it as like a danger.
Exactly, exactly.
And Monstro, they did better. The
Oh,
story of Monstro, like leading up to Monstro, I think they did much better because as I was watching the animated movie, I was thinking, how are they going to do this scene? Pinocchio just randomly could breathe underwater in the depths of the ocean, and Jiminy could breathe underwater.
Pinocchio makes sense because he's made of wood. It's just like okay, but Jiminy.
Well, we saw him sniff poop in this movie. He could smell.
Did he sniff or was he just looking
He
at it in
sniffed.
wonder?
No, he sniffed that he was like repulsed
you,
by the smell of poop.
you said that also like a Pennywise. Oh,
Oh, he
he
sniffs.
sniffed. He sniffed
You call
poop.
me out. I think I just speak like him sometimes, all right? You call me out on that sometimes.
This is another heart Tony thing. You sometimes speak like Pennywise. Oh, he sniffed.
Everywhere I go, I see him.
At Pleasure Island, he was definitely there.
Yeah, yeah. I think that's where, subconsciously I got that. I got that going right now. But anyway, it's just weird to show a puppet in the depths of the ocean and a little cricket in the depths of the ocean. Like, how are they going to do that live action and not make it look really dumb?
Yeah, I'm okay with that change. I think in the animated one it worked because it's animated. You can do what you want with it. Although I did question why does Jiminy breathe underwater? He's a cricket. He shouldn't have these Aquaman powers. But it was okay. It was cute. I like the like. Have you seen Monstro? And then that, ting, and they would all run away. But I'm okay with them skipping out on that in the live action. It worked better in the live action.
I was going to say, I think also the reasoning in the live action was better. I don't remember the original reason in the animated movie, but the fact that he found out that Pinocchio wasn't Pleasure Island, so he, sold his clocks for a boat, a little dinghy. That made a lot more sense than I'm pretty sure in the animated movie they said like, "Oh yeah, Geppetto got swallowed by a whale, and he's in the bottom of the ocean."
Yes,
Wasn't there was no
yes.
more reason outside of that, right?
Let's see. Oh, yeah, it said, well, the letter from the Blue Fairy says that Geppetto had gone looking for Pinocchio and sailed to Pleasure Island because he found out that's where he was taken to. But it's very even like right now I couldn't properly remember it. I had to look it up. And in the live action movie, they conveyed that a lot better, being like, "Where is he?" And then the seagull is like Pleasure Island, and he's like, "No, I have to go get him." That's
Yeah, that
told
makes sense.
that's told a lot better. Like we were able to digest it and understand it a lot easier than just a letter from the Fairy and Jiminy is like speed reading it.
Oh yeah, it was a letter, right?
It was a letter. It was a
Okay, okay.
glowing, glittery letter. Jiminy was like, "He's gone to Pleasure Island to look for you." Now I'm doing the Mickey voice. Oh,
So yeah, I just like how this one made more sense, and I think it flowed better, and especially they found him before Monstro swallowed him. I thought that was better as well.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm. I do think the scene though, whenever they do like reunite in the belly of the whale, I think the animated one is really sweet because he like throws the blanket on him and he's in that blanket burrito. I think that's so cute.
I do love that they're inside the whale for a lot longer in the animated movie. I like the idea of just those ships being in the belly of Monstro, and he's just been
Uh-huh.
there for who knows how long.
Dun-dun-dun-dun-dun.
But yeah, it's so cool. But I just know it wouldn't translate right to live action.
Yeah, yeah, but I do like I in both scenes, I really like the making the fire in Monstro. I think they both did it really well. I do the animated one gets me a little bit more because I love the exaggeration movements because you can do that with animated where they're doing that back and forth that like dun, and the music's rising with it that dun, 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 and then that
Yeah,
as he sneezes them out. It's so satisfying. I love it. But the live action movie handled it pretty well.
I like that Monstro was a mythical creature.
Yeah,
I really do like
yeah.
that.
I do like that he's more exaggerated as a monster and not just like a giant mean whale.
Yeah,
He's got these like tentacles and he just looks like a leviathan of a beast.
the tentacles were a really cool addition. Very Kraken like.
Like combining the Kraken and the Meg.
Ooh, nice. Yeah, that's Monstro.
I'm gonna get a Sea of Thieves expansion, add Monstro to it.
Oh, please.
Wouldn't that be neat?
You get
They
a
already
little
added
Geppetto
pirates.
dinghy.
Oh, a Geppetto sloop.
People have mentioned Peter Pan like before. Yeah, yeah. That'll be cool. They
Oh,
already have a Disney
that
thing
yeah,
now.
they already have a deal with pirates. They just need to add Peter Pan and maybe a little bit of Monstro
Yeah.
from Pinocchio. Oh, imagine like a Pleasure Island.
Ooh.
Ooh, the wheels in my head have been turning since I
Let's tweet
looked
this
at
at
that
Rare
giant
real quick
old whale.
before we continue.
At Rare, please add Peter
We
Pan.
have $1 million idea
Please respond ASAP.
if you want money.
If you want a free idea.
Also, I have to call it out again, but Jiminy was extra useless for the Monstro scene.
I know,
His last good
Jiminy.
use was him talking to, I forgot her name, the seagull or whatever, the
Sophia.
bird. Sophia, yeah. And he found out, he basically just had to find out where Geppetto was or how far out he went, which way he went, whatever. And that's it. And then after that, he's just like, hey, let me in.
Hey,
I got something to do.
let me in. My friends are in there.
Yeah. And he did nothing.
He did nothing. He did nothing.
Yeah.
Jiminy. Oh, Sir Jiminy Cricket. The conscience of all consciences. What are you doing? They've massacred my Jiminy.
Not by much, though. They really got, how.
Jiminy, at least in the animated one, is trying. He's at least giving advice, blow a little whistle, and all that. But in this movie, it's like, Jiminy, why are you here? What's going on here, Jiminy?
I have a couple more questions for you.
Okay.
Let's talk about the Fabiana Sabina thing again.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Besides it being, I think we both agree, unnecessary to the movie, right?
I don't like if there had been some sort of payoff, like rewrite corner here. We get the I'm a real boy scene and everything, and then he goes and meets Fabiana as a real boy, and and like now he has a friend. That there would have been something there. You could have even played up the duality of having a friend like Fabiana and a friend like Lampwick. One that's giving good advice and one that's giving bad advice, one that wants to help and one that doesn't. You could have, even if it was just a little bit, you could have put a scene in like that. But the thing is her involvement really adds nothing meaty to the film. I don't see why they needed to add her character in this.
That's exactly how I felt. I feel like every scene she's in, I think if you plucked them out, it wouldn't affect the movie.
Hmm.
I don't know if they had any effect on Pinocchio's adventure or anything.
Yeah. I don't know why they felt they needed to add her. And if I'm not averse to them adding her in. I just wanted it to be meaningful. I wanted it to pay off.
Yeah, at first I thought they were going with a romance between Pinocchio and Sabina.
Oh.
And I was
I
gonna say it too, but I'm like, let me keep it to myself and see how this plays out. No, nothing happened. But when they had that moment when she was practicing in her own cart or whatever, her own room,
Mhm.
and then she was like dancing as Fabiana, and then Pinocchio's still hiding behind the door. And then when she pulls out Sabina, that's when he's like, "Oh!" And then he runs in, and then she's dancing, and then at a point they're like holding hands. They look like they're in a dancing position, and then that moment is like, "Oh, are they establishing a relationship here? Like they're into each other?"
Interesting. I'm usually the first to suspect things like that, and I didn't suspect that in this movie.
And then what would that entail afterwards? Because this is like she's a real puppet. That's Fabiana, that's so I don't know what they were trying to do. I think it's good that they didn't go any further with that because Pinocchio is a live puppet and then he becomes a real boy. So where would that have went? You know?
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know why they sought to do this. What's also interesting is the voice of the puppet is different than the girl who plays
Oh, I could
Fabiana.
tell. It was out of sync.
Oh yeah,
I saw
yeah.
it.
And I feel like that was so interesting because it's like it. I know that this puppet isn't real. It's a puppet. It's not Pinocchio puppet. But what's it's just like a what's the point? Why are we spending time with this? She was in the place of the blue fairy in the coach. So
Yeah.
it's like why did we replace the blue fairy with her? What's going on here? It's just and then her I feel like her song wasn't that great.
I liked it.
It was okay, but we could have had the whistle song instead.
The whistle song. Flow Rider already did that.
No, the cuckoo clock song.
Oh, that one?
We
Yeah, that's
could
a
have
good
had the
idea.
cuckoo
Yeah, yeah.
clock song. Blue fairy, is my wish gonna come true or not? I'm
Not
wishing.
today.
I'm wishing really hard. I said amen.
Caroline. You can't say amen.
Let's talk about Geppetto,
All
Tony.
right, let's talk about Geppetto.
Let's talk about Tom Hanks.
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah.
You
Tom
got
Hanks is
kicked
in
out
this
of
movie.
school,
You got kicked out of school?
knocking over my wife. There was a
All right, so there are a couple scenes near the end where he's not Geppetto anymore.
he's
Right,
full
he's just Tom
Hanks.
Hanks.
There's a review on Rotten Tomatoes where it was like cute little movie. Love how Geppetto completely loses his accent at the end.
He does. Not only for that yelling scene, but yeah, even a lot of like when he's just laid out, and he has to talk to Pinocchio when he got like knocked on the head or whatever by Monstro, whatever it was. Yeah, there's some lines where he's just like regular Tom Hanks.
Yeah, that line where he's like, "To me, you will always be my real boy." He's just Hanks. He doesn't have a
I
thick
think he
accent.
actually felt it, and he didn't
Oh,
have it in him to.
he felt it in his heart to just say it.
Yeah, yeah,
That's him to one of his sons.
yeah.
That's what Chet Hanks hears on repeat to make
It was
himself
pulling
feel
from
better.
within.
Yeah. But Tom Hanks, in my opinion, really carries this movie. I really like him in this movie. He I think Tom Hanks, no matter what he does, he never phones it in. He's always committing to the role.
Yeah, even when he's the only one in the room.
Yeah, exactly. And you can tell he's the only one in the room for the first, for I think a lot of the scenes, every scene that he's in.
There's only one scene where he interacts with a real
Oh
human
yeah, yeah,
actor.
yeah. The senor who wants to buy the clocks.
Yeah, and I like that little setup too, because then later he has to sell the
Yeah,
clocks, and it means a lot to him.
it sets the importance of the clocks. And I think in the animated he didn't sell his clocks. He just kind
No,
of he just kind of booked a voyage on a boat because they didn't even say that he like rented a dinghy or whatever, or did they? I might be misremembering, but
no, they didn't mention that.
he doesn't sell his clocks in the animated one, and in this one they put a lot of importance that these clocks are invaluable. They mean the world to him, but he sells them all to go get Pinocchio. Like that speaks volumes.
I really like that part. I like that addition.
Me too. I do. The scene that I kind of miss that I really loved in the animated one though is when Pinocchio's always asking him questions at night, He's like, boys need to
Oh
go to
yeah,
school. Why? And Figaro is all upset. I love Figaro. He is so cute.
that's a very kid-like thing to do.
That was a very me thing. When I watched it with my parents, my dad was like, "Oh, that's Caroline." I was like,
I'm glad those days are over.
"Dad." Yeah, now I have Google. Now they're the ones asking me questions. Now they're like, "Caroline,
Well, well, well.
how old was the queen when she died?" And I'm like, "You can Google this." And they're like, "But you can Google this." And I'm like,
But we're having a
"No."
conversation. I have to say, I did not care for Figaro in this movie.
Tony, get out. I cannot have a conversation with a Figaro hater.
I liked Figaro in the animated movie a lot. This
Uh,
Figaro, I don't even know what I was looking at.
yeah, that's
It was
fair.
irrelevant. It was just, I don't, I've told you, like, I don't care how CGI looks. It bothers me when it's on a person. Like, if it's somebody's face or if it's, if a person CGI, I don't really like that. I thought I wasn't going to have a problem with a CGI cat, but I did. It did not look good. It did not look real. I'm like, whatever. I don't care for this thing.
That's fair. And Figaro didn't
That's
do it.
fair. You just completely gave up on the associating with a Figaro
When
hater.
you didn't clarify, you were just like, I didn't care for Figaro in this movie, and I was like, it was just a knee jerk reaction, playing it up. But
All right, I got you.
yeah, I agree because Figaro on the animated one is so funny. He's so like,
Yeah,
he's sassy. He's like a even like the kiss from Cleo, and he's like, nah.
yeah. Those are a lot of good moments, and I
And
wasn't even thinking about that. You reminded me just now.
yeah, and even when he goes to school and Pinocchio leaves and he's like, I'm going with him. And Geppetto picks him up and his feet are still moving. It's just so cute.
He had way more personality, and that's the
Absolutely.
animation advantage.
Yeah. I feel like that's kind of the issue with these live actions. It's really interesting because in the Jungle Book, the the majority of the movie is CGI'd animals, but it's really well done. I really like it. And I think the Jungle Book is the only good live action remake. I really enjoyed it. And it pulls me back to the Lion King. The biggest complaint about the live action Lion King is that they had no emotion. The way that they tried to animate the lions was too realistic, and they felt that like, oh, we can't make them be too expressive because then it's going to look cartoony. But then the whole movie looks like they're just, what's the word? Stoic. They're just like, "Oh wow, sorry. Ah, Mufasa, wah." And that's the
Yeah, they should have
issue.
got Gal Gadot to play
"Kal-El,
Nala.
no. Simba, no. I need you to give me enough champagne to fill the Nile."
They should have done a Sonic and just redid
Oh my
all
gosh.
these lions.
I want a Sonic remake for the Lion King
Yeah, give him
live action.
big old lion Simba Nala eyes.
Expressive speech.
Yeah. See, now they did that with Cleo. Cleo looked like Cleo.
Cleo looked like Cleo. Cleo looked amazing.
Figaro looked like
Figaro was
something
where they
else.
messed up because Figaro they didn't give him that personality or like that face.
They were
They were
going for
just like
real or cat, like you just said, like a
they were
more
just
real looking cat.
yeah, and he's just kind of like "Meow." He
Yeah.
does try to go with Pinocchio, but it's so quick. It's just like, "Oh no, Figaro, you stay with us."
Yeah,
Wouldn't
schools for
wouldn't
boys.
it have been like and I think you made this reference too, like wouldn't it have been cuter or funnier if they did like a Salem?
Yeah, a little puppet cat. I would have loved
Yeah.
that.
It would have been so much funnier cuz Salem is so funny.
And it didn't even have to do much. Like if you just cut to Figaro and it's just like a little puppet like looking around or whatever, it would have looked funny.
Exactly. Also, it would have been kinda neat because it's about a puppet. This movie is about a puppet.
Yeah,
You
it
could
all
use
comes together.
puppets.
It's like poetry.
It rhymes.
I think that would have been the only real puppet in this movie because everything was CGI.
I did kind of want a little part of me when they announced a live action Pinocchio wanted this to be like a Jim Henson production, like a collab with
Oh, that would
them.
have been
That would
like
have been
that
too
would have been too
smart.
much effort
That would have
for
been too
Disney.
good. That would have been
Yeah,
too good.
they don't put that much, love and care into their
Think
movies
about
like
it.
that.
The best puppet production studio working on a movie about a puppet is perfect.
Yeah, I was thinking that too. Like, they could have just made real puppets, but
I
nah, that would have
guess
took too
not.
much time
Everything's got
for
to be
them.
CG.
And that's the sad part because everyone says it, but it's like you're gonna watch it anyway. It doesn't matter.
That's what I think is the saddest part of these live action movies for me is I feel like we're not getting what we deserve to be, and like we preface this movie wasn't bad. It has good things about it, but I feel like to me when I look at the other movies specifically, even like Beauty and the Beast and Lion King, these are holy grail classics, and these live actions to me don't even come close. But of course you're gonna see it. This is a tale that everybody loves and adores. You're not gonna miss it. And it's just like, but if you approached it in another angle, it would have been so much better. If you didn't just try to, I don't know, copy and paste and be like, oh, people will love it anyway. It's Beauty and the Beast, it's Lion King, it's Pinocchio.
All of these new live action movies could have been new classics.
Exactly. But they're only solid blockbusters. They only make the money because they're riding on the popularity of their predecessor. When they have the power, we have the technology, the power, and the creativity to do it today
More
better.
importantly, the money.
Yeah, yeah, that's true.
Disney has all the money in the world
They have
to have made a
so much
real Pinocchio
money.
puppet.
There's so much money behind the studio now that they didn't have in 1940 that they could have done today to improve it, and they didn't do that. In 1940, I don't even think they had Disneyland. Like they weren't even a self-distributor, because in 1940 they were distributed by RK, I think it's RK Studios, and that was the distributor owned by Howard Hughes, and they were the ones that needed a distributor. They were the ones that were like, "Oh,
Gotcha.
we're Disney. We like this is Walt Disney being like, I need you to put my film out," and they're like, "All right, okay, sure." They weren't even the big name yet,
Yeah, yeah. Now they
and
don't have to ask anyone.
now, they're the ones. They're the monopoly.
So what can we do about it?
What do we do about it? I'm interested in seeing Guillermo del Toro's Pinocchio,
Me too.
seeing how a fresh face, a fresh take on the story. Because I feel like, and you know me, I'm a Disney nerd. I love Disney. But I feel like with these live action remakes, they get a little lazy. They get like, all
Not
right,
just a little.
okay, I'm glad I'm not the only one thinking that then. They just, they don't try as hard. Even like with the Little Mermaid, I like her, but I feel like when it comes to the color, everybody was saying that, why does it look so dark? Why aren't the colors vibrant? Things like that. It's like, why are
You
we
know, that was a weird after effect for me.
uh-huh.
I don't even think we brought it up when we spoke about it, but I saw the trailer. I thought it looked good, honestly. The only thing I didn't like was I don't want her to oversing the song. I want them to sound original. But yeah, and then when I read the comments, it's like, oh, it looks so dull, blah, blah. And I'm like, what, really? And then I watch it again. I'm like, oh, yeah, it does. Everything looks so muted, colorless. It looks like Zack Snyder's Little Mermaid.
Yeah, yeah.
It looks like the Justice is Gray version of Little Mermaid. I'm like,
It
yeah, how did I miss that?
and The Little Mermaid is arguably one of the most colorful films ever made. It's so vibrant. It's under the sea. That whole under the sea segment is super saturated in color. And
Yeah,
just
yeah.
in this trailer, it's like I was watching it on my phone and I was like, "Oh, it's too dark. Let me pick up the brightness." And then I realized my brightness was all the way up. And I was like, "Oh no. Oh no."
Oh no. Maybe they could Sonic this too. No.
If there's enough outcry, I'd be like, "We need to add more color."
Can it be
More.
that hard
It's
to
not.
fix this? They
You
can
can
just
add a
slide the
filter.
saturation,
Yeah, slide the
you know?
saturation bar all the way to the right.
Yeah. Easy. That'll fix everything that people complain
You don't
about.
need to reshoot, nothing. Just saturate.
Yeah. I mean, it's been the same conversation for a while, right? And what could change? I mean, there's no reason for them to change how they
Exactly.
make these movies.
They're not going to see a reason unless, like, of course, a film flops or, like a Han Solo.
They need multiple flops.
They need a
because they've had some flops already.
they need like a Star Wars Soyri to happen.
They had a Buzz Lightyear,
They did. They had a Buzz Lightyear.
but that's for Pixar. I mean, this is
Yeah,
specifically Disney
that's not like a Disney live action
proper.
studios thing.
Yeah,
I don't know. I just hope that, down the road at some point they'll find or because I feel like these directors that they get are pretty good for a lot of these films, and that's just like one of the most mind-boggling things is like this is Robert Zemeckis. This is the guy who brought us Back to the Future, Romancing the Stone. Now, these are amazing films. I wonder why sometimes it just doesn't feel like that, and part of me thinks studio interference where they're like, oh no, you have to do it this way, you have to do it like that.
I feel like only for Pinocchio specifically, I feel like it was pretty competent. It was like right there. Like I was telling you, I don't think there was a high bar set by the original. I'm just speaking for myself, obviously, and I think the live action. I feel like that's besides what we just spoke of. Besides getting actual puppets, and turning him into a real boy actor, I think that's pretty good. Like this movie is as good as you can get, pretty much. As for a live action Pinocchio, I think is it's pretty nice. Pinocchio CGI, but he looks. I mean, it looks good. The other ones, every other live action, that's a different story. But
That could be a conversation for another time.
yeah, but I think this was a good balance. I think there's things they did better. I think there's some things that was unnecessary.
Yeah, overall the balancing of it, I do lean more towards that it was a okay film. I do think it's one of the better live action adaptions. They did okay with what they got. I just wish, I don't know, I feel like it's not wrong of me to want more from
Yeah,
the studio and from these writers.
no, I'm with you on that. I'm with you on that definitely. I always want more from the Disney shows,
The shows.
the Disney
Oof.
Plus shows.
Yeah. I haven't seen Andor yet, but I've been hearing good things. I know I'm going to watch it eventually. It's Star Wars.
I've been hearing good things, but I don't know, Caroline. I feel like it's Disney Plus good, not like actual good. That's the way I see it.
Yeah, that's
Like when
a
somebody says Loki's good, I know what that means. It's like Disney Plus good,
You're like,
not like actual good shows that
but
are out
if
there.
if somebody was to come and tell you WandaVision good,
WandaVision is the best Disney Plus good.
a diamond in the rough.
It is a diamond in the rough.
For me, that's
And
Mandalorian.
Mandalorian 2 season 1.
Yeah, for me, that's Mandalorian. Mandalorian is a holy grail of a show.
But I want like Better Call Saul good in Disney Plus,
Ah.
I want the good stuff. I want writers who care about what's happening from episode to episode.
I want writers who are willing to be fully creative and not just write on it being a Disney show.
Impossible.
That's the thing. That's why I want it. It's okay to want impossible
Me too.
things.
Me too. There's a few more things I want to mention about Pinocchio. I don't know if you have anything else, but these aren't these aren't big questions or anything. But I want to say first, Stromboli is a much better showman in this movie.
Yeah, I forgot about Stromboli.
And I'll tell you why. Because
Okay.
here's the thing that I was thinking in the first one, because obviously, I saw the animated one first, more recently, and then I saw the live action.
Hmm.
And when he got Pinocchio to do "There are no strings and now I'm free," I was thinking, why did he not start him off with strings? And then he removes the strings, and you see that it's a live puppet. That would have blew everyone's mind.
Yeah, yeah,
And then
and
in the live action, he does it. I'm like, oh
yep,
my gosh,
they fixed it.
great minds think alike.
Are you comparing your mind to that of Stromboli?
I'm just, I give showmans credit where credit's due, as a fellow
Ah,
showman.
ah,
So I just thought, all right, they get it. They get it. Cause it is a cool reveal.
it is. Yeah,
Where it's like, oh, here's another puppet. Nope, this thing walks on its own.
I got no strings to hold me down, to make me cry, to make
To
me
make me
frown.
frown.
I once had strings, but now I'm free.
If I was in the crowd, I would have been mind blown. I don't think those guys really understood what they were looking at.
There are no strings on me. Boom,
Boom, boom,
boom.
boom. So,
No, I
anyways,
agree. Stromboli, good showman.
yeah.
And in this one, I do love his little like polka song machine in this movie. I like it a lot, where he could
What the heck?
set the genre and then polka.
A huge steam powered machine plays music, and he breaks it, of course.
I do like it. I like it a lot. I like him yelling at him in Italian too. It was like,
Yeah.
I was like, we're just getting a sneak peek at Mario when he gets upset.
Oh no. Live action Mario, more like it.
The trailer comes out October 9th.
Excuse me?
Yeah, the trailer for Super Mario the
No
movie,
way.
October the 9th.
No, are you serious?
Yep, yep.
Oh, you just made me so happy. That's my most anticipated movie right now.
Is Mario?
Yeah. Chris Pratt's Mario, right?
Mm-hmm.
Oh
Oh,
man, that's gonna be good.
October the 6th, so
Oh,
sooner than
even
that.
closer.
Yeah, even closer.
Oh man, it's gonna be so good. Should I watch
October
it?
6th. Come on, don't
No,
deny
no, no,
yourself.
no,
Watch
no,
it.
no. Because I'm ready to see the movie.
I know you are, but still, come on. It doesn't hurt to
Just
watch.
tell me the release date. Just tell me
It,
the release date. I
it
want to
doesn't
go watch.
hurt to watch the first trailer and then that's it.
No, it hurts. It hurts. It gives everything away.
I'll tell you what. I'll pre-screen it for you, and if it gives too much away, I'll tell you definitely don't
Just
watch
tell me
it.
the release date, girl.
Okay, but still,
You
you don't
know,
want to hear Pratt as.
maybe no, maybe not. Maybe
Come
not.
on.
Imagine you hear it for the first time in the theaters, though.
Oh, come on, Toad. Come on. You're gonna get it. It's gonna catch you at some point.
You know, a quick story though. When Endgame came out, remember how nobody knew the name and it was revealed in the trailer?
Uh-huh.
I didn't know the name for a while because
You
I didn't
never
watch
saw
the
the
trailer
trailer.
yet. They're like, what's it called?
Somebody tell me what's it called.
Somebody tell me. What's it called? I feel like that's I missed out on that little bit of fun because revealing the name of a movie in a trailer, that's awesome. And that doesn't always happen.
It was great. It
Yeah.
was great. That's why you should watch this trailer. You can find
I
the
already know
release
what it's
date out
called, though.
yourself.
I know what it's called.
But not the release date.
You're going to tell me.
Am I?
I'll ask Davey.
He'll tell you.
Yeah,
David will tell you everything.
He's very good at spoiling release dates and other things. Actually, no. You know what I was thinking about? Here's another thing. Here's another side conversation.
Okay.
Here's why you guys are twins, because Davey is very good.
Here's why you guys are twins, not just that you were born on the same day.
Here's the reason. Davey is very good at spoiling any sort of entertainment. Shows, movies, games. And you're good at spoiling anything in real life because you don't like surprises. You guys are like, it's like poetry. Like,
why does this hurt so much?
Because it's real.
I never thought of it like that.
I've thought a lot about that during my nights of thinking things over, like Pinocchio, and yeah.
I just picture you like that. What Tom the cat meme, where your eyes are closed, and then you're like, Davey and Caroline spoil things in different ways, and your eyes open up. Like, whoa, that's a hot take.
But that's coming from my own mind because no one else is gonna say that.
That's your brain.
Yeah, I surprised myself. Like, whoa.
That's your heart, Tony, killing
my
you.
own thought surprised me. Okay. All right. I also want to say, not nearly enough Honest John and Gideon.
Yeah.
I was so disappointed in that.
And they come back in the animated one. Like they're around.
They're part of the Pleasure Island scheme as well. They come back again and send Pinocchio to Pleasure Island.
Exactly. And not in this one.
Ah, but Keegan-Michael Key was so good and so funny.
Keegan-Michael Key was so funny.
It's a shame we only see him once.
Yep.
Well, for like that scene.
He's in for a good amount of time, don't get me wrong, but that's it. We never see him again.
We need more of him.
He gets blue fairied and just bye.
Yeah. a lot of people get blue fairied.
That Signor at the beginning, the
Yeah, the blue fairy,
the blue fairy, Honest John,
Honest John,
Sabina,
Sabina.
Fabiana.
They come back. They get 2 scenes
That's true. But then
or
we
like
never
3 scenes, whatever. I don't know.
Lampwick.
Lampwick. And then the last thing I wanted to say, and this was I should have said it much earlier when we were talking about it, but this is for both movies. I felt like Geppetto would have been or should have been a helicopter parent. But I found this so weird that the next day he's like, all right, off to school. Go ahead on your own.
That's what I was saying when in the animated one where it's just like that he comes to life and then that like I don't know what day happens where he sets his finger on fire and then that night he's like, "What's school?" And then the very next day he's like, "All right, bye." I feel like in the live action they made it feel longer, like 3 days minimum.
In the live action, it should be worse because he lost
He lost a child.
his real son, and then he gets
Pinocchio is a real son, Tony. He lost a son.
You are my son.
You are my son.
And then he gets a
Depending
miracle
on your son.
by coming to life, like a puppet came to
He has
life.
a second chance,
Yeah, he's not
miraculously.
gonna protect this thing with all his power, like walk him to school or homeschool him. You know, I would at least walk my son to school.
I would have thought at least he would walk him to
I
school.
would have put him on the leash, the student leash.
Yeah, the rope. Be like, quick,
Yeah,
grab onto the leash. Don't let
grab
go.
on and don't let go. I would have met the teacher.
You would have walked into the school and be like, "This is my puppet son, Pinocchio.
Don't kick him out, please.
Please don't kick him out.
But
I pay taxes."
I figure in the original, it's a miracle that this puppy came to life. So I figured at least that, like, oh my gosh, I'm not gonna lose this boy. This is my only boy. And then in the live action, is more reason because he's like, I have a second chance. This is my boy now. Let me make sure he's okay.
Yeah. And we see that it feels like we definitely see that except in the school scenario because he's very much like looking for Pinocchio day and night in the rain, selling his possessions. Like he's got all of that to go and get his boy. But it's just with the school. It's just, okay, I'm gonna be here. You go to school. Bye. It's like you're not
Yeah,
gonna
you're
walk
right.
him.
That's really the only time he kind of.
That's the only time he just kind of flubs as a parent.
Yeah.
I guess there is no such thing as perfect parents. Even Geppetto.
No.
Father, when can I leave
Only
to be on
Jor-El.
my own? have you have you have you seen the Polly Shore Pinocchio?
No,
Oh, Tony.
I don't think I will.
Oh, Tony.
No.
We have something to see after this pod.
No. This was recent, right?
Oh yeah.
Because
Oh
now
yeah.
this is the year of Pinocchio.
This is the year of Pinocchio. Where is
Get a
the
game of Pinocchio. Is Guillermo's Pinocchio coming out this year too?
Oh, that's a good. I think. Let me check real quick. Guillermo del Toro Pinocchio. Yes, December this year.
Oh, it's gonna be a good year.
It's gonna be a great year.
We got Avatar.
Would it
Too
be
bad
good?
Mario didn't make the cut. But
Oh, I know. I know.
do I have to watch this?
Yes, you do. This is Polly Shore's Pinocchio.
I'm watching.
Father, when can I leave? That line delivery, am I right?
Why can I leave to be on my own?
I'm gonna have to layer that over this.
So Pinocchio's like an angsty little teenager.
Yes, he is.
The year of Pinocchio. We'll watch them all. Why not? We already saw 2.
This movie is a hot mess. I've seen many reviews about it because it kind
Does
of.
he always talk like that?
Oh, it gets better. It gets so much better. There's a video on YouTube where it's like Pinocchio being fruity for 2 minutes straight.
Only 2 minutes?
Only 2 minutes. I think
They
maybe
cut
it's
it
because
down?
of copyright.
Oh, okay. They should put Pinocchio being fruity, and then
For the whole movie.
it shows the whole length of the movie, an hour and 40 minutes. Oh,
The year of Sonic, the year of Pinocchio.
this was Sonic's year as well, right?
Oh yeah, we got
It's been
Sonic
a long
2.
year.
We got the game, Sonic Frontiers coming out.
The movie came out this year.
Yeah, Sonic
Sonic 2.
2. Hmm.
Man, it's been a long year. It's been a good year.
It's been a really good year for film. And then,
Yeah.
we get Avatar 2 this year.
Yeah.
What other movie comes out this year?
Mario got delayed. Creed got delayed out of this year.
At least, yeah, we're going to end it off with a bang with Avatar
We
2.
have Don't Worry, Darling. It's going to be a good
Oh,
year.
don't worry, darling. And I'm
Leave
still
it at
thinking
that.
about it.
Leave it
Yeah.
at that.
Yeah, yeah,
You had
yeah.
no
That's
words.
that's bad. I
You had
was
no
I
words.
was stricken. when,
Oh.
when can I leave to be on my own?
You're still thinking about that. Okay.
Kind of, yeah.
Caroline, I got nothing else for Robert Zemeckis' Pinocchio. I don't know if there's anything you have left to bring up.
I have nothing left other than to advise you and our listeners to be brave, truthful, and unselfish.